Alright, Moki here. Scored 50% on the Google Cloud certification called Associate Cloud Engineer exam. I'm going all out. There's lots of guides. This is a really great GIF. Are you ready for the test? You know, the kid's breaking down. That's all of us taking this test. I found a study guide. Oh my gosh, I'm kind of like lost in the weeds. I copied it into Google Drive. I found an article on Medium, Google Cloud Associate Engineer exam notes, GCP AC. Gotta love ACE here. Just running through really quick. There's videos, Google Cloud Associate Cloud Engineer. There's an official site for it. You can register, get some facts, frequently asked questions. Lots of YouTube videos. I'm going to run through my failures really quick. It's the best way to learn, is fix your failures. The things you get right, you don't need to go over anymore. None of these statements are true. They try to trick you around a little bit. So, first one is setting up a cloud environment solution. It's a cloud solution environment. I did fairly well in that. There's 5 sections. Which of the following are Google recommend practices for creating new projects? So I got this one right. And this one right. And I chose the wrong one here because quotas are shared across all projects. That is wrong. It's supposed to be use projects to limit blast radius. See, I thought that, I actually clicked it, and I clicked it off. Creating new projects does not involve any downtime. Yeah, I know that. Projects can be shared between all persons. Yes, they do not have to be individual and usually aren't. The system in one project normally gets deployed multiple times and serve many users. It's a good idea to use projects to separate different systems environments from each other. That's the blast radius. Partly for organization and partly to prevent them from interacting badly with each other. Okay. Alright. Oh, next. Number 11. How many projects can you create? As many as allowed by your quota. You do have a quota for the total number of projects you have at once. I just thought it was limitless. Just get charged. Wrong. I give it a plus. That's good. And this is on acloud.guru. Whenever a project is created, it is always linked with a billing account. So that's wrong. It's not always. I knew that. I say I knew that, but I didn't check the right one. I supposed to pick this G-Cloud beta billing. See, I think I did this before. You can use G-Cloud beta billing. G-Cloud beta billing. Jeez, creating a project in Cloud Shell. Search Google. G-Cloud beta billing. Manage billing accounts and associate with them with projects. That's it. That's the answer. That's how you can link it. Manage and associate them with projects. Alright. Got right. Project owner. G-Cloud projects delete old project ID. Yeah, really fast. Only one of the other options is required. It's just G-Cloud init. G-Cloud auth list. The general way to automatically clone a project. That's right. Okay. Now the second domain, planning and configuring a cloud solution. I did not do good in this. I thought you needed to enter this information. None of these are correct. you'd be very familiar with the pricing calculator. Prices correspond to whatever region you select for each resource. Custom machine types are fully supported. You can choose whichever currency you'd like for the estimate. Oh, why is that wrong? So you're planning to run a system with 4 custom-sized virtual machines, wherever. What's true about the pricing calculator? You'll need to enter predefined machine types closest to the custom machine types you want to use. I thought you had to put that in there. If it's custom, you should be putting in custom. Maybe just this is wrong. Manually. Estimate. Custom machine types are fully supported. You can choose. Estimate. Yeah, this is probably the wrong part here. Oh, that's hard. You're planning to use big table. You will need to enter the number of big table nodes. I thought it was data. Big table is priced by provision nodes. So we click on that. Compute engine. This should be a big data. Wait, what is it? Big table. Big table. Maybe I can like search for it. Big table. I passed it. It's gonna be Belgium here. Nodes. There we go. Cool, that was really quick and easy. $1,400 per month. Wait, what? Oh, it's adding on. So 400. Okay. Nodes. Big table are calculated by nodes. Okay, cloud storage is wrong. It's Kubernetes. You're planning to use persistent disks. What other GCP service will you be using these persistent disks? And it's Kubernetes engine. Oh my god. Persistent disks attached to GCE, compute engine instances, got that, but they also can be used through Kubernetes. Cloud storage and big table are completely separate types of storage. What? So, you could check persistent disks in Cloud Kubernetes. Google Cloud Kubernetes, however you want to say it. Persistent disks in Kubernetes. I love this little fine print here. This is usually... Okay, it's a convenient way to request and consume storage resources. Kubernetes persistent volumes are a type of volume that live within the Kubernetes cluster and can outlive other Kubernetes pods to retain data for long periods of time. I really like looking at the images. You get like a picture in your mind. Ooh, this is a really good one. This is really, really good. I forget where I saw this before. Get like a big copy of it. Save that. That's cool. Let's put it in downloads for now. Deal with it later. I love this. It really makes it easy to read through. Something to study. Probably stick on the wall. Stare at for a while. You need to store a large amount of unstructured data. Anyways, cloud storage. Cloud storage is perfect for unstructured data like this. BigQuery is made for analytics of structured data. Bigtable is made for low latency analytics of non-relational data. Cloud SQL is not a good tool to store unstructured data like this, and managing your own MySQL instance on GC would be even worse. I thought it was Bigtable. Unstructured. I was thinking non-relational and not unstructured. Alright. Cloud storage. You currently have lots of data, and you want to immediately store all data as cold line because access volume is low. What? Data cannot be transitioned from multi-regional to regional. It would change the location. The access rate for new data is 60 over 80,000, so very low. Oh, it's the amount compared. Okay. And archival data is even lower. 50 to 850,000. Yeah, I saw that. The most effective option is the simplest one. Really now? It kind of makes sense. I mean, this is huge, but I thought this was big as well. It's just small. Okay. You're planning a log analysis system to be deployed on Google Cloud. So you need to use Dataflow. Dataflow uses the Apache Beam framework and can process stream data. Dataproc is for, yes, Sparkadoop. Yep, it doesn't handle stream data. Okay, the logging, now called cloud logging, doesn't do custom log processing for a system like this. PubSub can accept and deliver large volumes, but it's not a processing service. Bigtable can handle lots of data, but it's not for storage. A log analysis system. On Google Cloud. Cloud logging. What did I pick? Oh, that's why I picked this. I thought cloud logging. But it's supposed to be Dataflow. What is Dataflow in GCP? Cloud-based data processing service for both batch and real-time data streaming applications. It enables developers to set up processing pipelines for integrating, preparing, and analyzing large data sets such as those found in web analytics or big data analytics. Okay, next. That's Dataflow. Next is you have two web applications. So I selected Cloud Engine and Kubernetes, but it's supposed to be Stackdriver, which is the logging one. This is out of date. Not cool. Yeah, it's cloud monitoring and logging. What languages can Google Cloud monitoring use? There we go. Monitoring query language. This must be old. Ancient. Yeah, everything just changed in like the past year. Stackdriver monitoring. Oop, there it is. Python and Ruby. That was Stackdriver. So how about... It's saying MQL, monitoring query language. Cloud monitoring. Monitor querying language. Wow, that's interesting. Can you use Ruby or Rust? Can you use Ruby or Rust on Google Cloud monitoring? Formerly Stackdriver. Yeah, there we go. Google Cloud environment with operations. What happened to Stackdriver? Yeah, it was just recently. Oh, it was like over a year ago. Maybe I should write that in here. Google Cloud Operations. They'll respond to that, right? Google Cloud Operations. What languages can be used on Google Cloud Operations?
According to Google Cloud,
Ruby.
Cloud Functions now supports 6 different languages with the following runtimes: Java 11.
Okay. So, next, got this right. Yep, that's easy. I've done that before. Cold line. Yes, that's the coldest storage bucket. Operating system. Yeah, that's not true. Okay, now we're going to the next section, deploying and implementing a cloud solution. So you should use persistent volume and persistent volume claims. Databases are all about preserving information, but keeping and not losing data. So we need to make sure that Kubernetes knows that we care about the data we store. We need to keep it around. To do this, we need persistent volumes and the claims. Kubernetes does not replicate disks across pods. It doesn't do that. It ensures that the data for a pod persists and is still available to it when recovers from a failure. They clearly said that doesn't happen at all. Alright, I'll try to remember that. It is part of a deployment. Kubernetes tries to ensure that the number of pods you've specified in your deployment are always running. Okay, that's good to know. So it will restart one if it fails. So Kubernetes will automatically restart the pod. So I said that. Oh, if it's part of a deployment. Ooh, that's the key word here, deployment. All the other options are using terms in which it does not make sense, such as an available deployment. From the documentation, pods do not heal or repair themselves. For example, if a pod is scheduled on a node which later fails, the pod is deleted. Okay. It's part of a node. That doesn't matter. Okay. Next. This is not a valid command, and kube control will complain that it is unknown. Wait, what? I need to save this. Let's go to cloud. Kube. Every single time I have to ask this, right? Kube control. Nope, didn't work. How to pronounce... There it is. Popped up again. Kube control? So you don't get laughed at. Deploy pod. Unknown. I guessed on it. So this has a cheat sheet. Kube control deploy. We don't have a deploy? Get pods. Get that. D-E-P-L-O-Y. Oh, that's deployment. Space. Oh, it's not a word. Oh, dash pod. Deploy. Dash. Okay, that does not like it at all. That's not real. Sorry. None of these statements are true. You must specify a service account when creating an instance, or none will be attached. If you don't do anything, the default service account will be attached by default to each new compute engine instance. However, you can stop that from happening by either deleting the default service account or opting out of attaching it when you're creating a new GCS instance. You must specify a service account when creating an instance, or no one will be attached. That is wrong. You don't have to specify it. This one says should be used, but not by. God, that's hard. Get all the rest of these right. Just gonna run through. Meta flavored Google. Cold line, of course, for the, you're not touching it much. You should use a stateful set object. I remember reading this. I was confused, but I got it right. There is no such thing as a pod replication state object in Kubernetes. Data will be persisted in persistent volumes, even if all database pods have failed or have been shut down. Kubernetes stateful set objects exist to manage applications that do want to preserve state, unlike the normal applications that should be stateless. Use a stateful set object when planning to run a multi-node database on Google Kubernetes. All right, memorize that. GSUtil, okay, you need to memorize this. This is for creating a bucket in cloud storage. Data retrieval from GCS completes. Oh yeah, that's the end. That was easy. That's the last one. You want to create a new regional bucket in Iowa. And this is how you do it. You begin creating the bucket, set the bucket name, set the location type to region. You do all that stuff and then choose create. There's a list you got to go through. Ensuring successful operation of a cloud solution. Kube control create secret generic. Alright, here's kubernetes.io. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to search for it. There it is. Opaque is the default secret type if omitted from a secret configuration file. Wow, this thing's huge! Even if I had access to that during the tests, I would. That stuff's nuts. What did I say? I was trying to use gcloud. Oh, that's completely wrong. Alright, have the developers write logs from the App Engine Java SDK. Software Development Kit. In App Engine Standard, you should write logs using the App Engine SDK. The connection to Stackdriver is handled automatically for you. And when you're designing a logging structure for non-containerized Java application that will run on GAE, oh, that's the app engine, which of the following options is recommended and will use the least number of steps to enable your developers to later access? Write logs using app engine Java SDK. All right, a team is running. So this is now just cloud error reporting. Just error reporting. Go to console. Got my console. Cool. Cool. I just love their art. Love it. Love it. So it's not debugger. This is to... Okay, so the team's running multiple production workloads in GCP due to the number of issues experienced by the team for the past 3 weeks. The operations head has asked the SRE team to send all stack traces and error crashes. There it is. Stack traces and error crashes to a centralized service to help manage their issues. Next, you will have a stateful and daemon set deployed in your Kubernetes cluster. A number of pods for the daemon set will shrink. A daemon set runs 1 pod per Kubernetes node. Okay, I'm going to save this one to cloud. Oh yeah, and then there's also, you got to get this developer's cheat sheet for Google Cloud. I'll come back to that later. It's really big. Got that on GitHub. There's Kubernetes engine. It manages those containers. Alright, let's go back. It only runs 1 pod. The number of pods for the daemon set will shrink. That's wrong. So the ones that are terminated will not restart on other nodes. You have a Kubernetes cluster that currently has 6 nodes. Lots of idle capacity. Run it. Go down 1. Go down to 5. Okay, get pods. Kube control, get pods, all namespaces. Cloud logging, previously stack driver. Someone actually fixed that one. And Kubernetes console, edit the cluster and enable cluster auto scaling. You would like to reduce costs. What should you do? Kubernetes console, edit the cluster and enable cluster auto scaling. Oh man, my brain's getting fried. Kube control, get pods, show labels. Yes, you have to have show. Okay, yeah, that's enable cluster auto scaling. The other one was other nodes to manage instance group. Clusters are editable, not immutable. They should not be created because of changes in demand. You cannot manage these nodes with your own instance group. You can't even do that. What? And you can't migrate nodes into managed instance group. Into a group. You cannot enable cluster autoscaling with the resize command. I think that's there. But you can turn that option on in the console or using the command. This G. Oh yeah, I remember seeing that. G calculators update cluster name enable autoscaling. got it right, but I remember I was thinking like just enable cluster auto scaling. Show labels. Show labels. That's how you see them. Cube control label pods target pod. That's your pod name or whatever. And this is the key value pair. Key value. Alright, last. Whew, I'm getting worn out. Last one's configuring access and security. Number 1. Got it wrong right off the bat. Only one of the other options is correct. Do not change the default service account setup and attachment. Since the default scopes allow reading from GCS, all that remains to get this situation working is for Project B to grant access to Project A. APIs are enabled for project and do not differ between internal and external access. So I know that. But it says do not change the default service account setup and attachment. Alright. Alright. A coworker tried to access the my file that you've stored in the my bucket GCS bucket, but they were denied access. Which of the following represents the best way to allow them to view it? In Cloud Shell type. Did I open that up a minute ago? I did, right here. I've got a million tabs open up right now. I'm gonna close some stuff. Save it. Close it. Come back, come back. This is great, great reading. Save your stuff in favorites, bookmarks. Save that one, good. I downloaded that one. Got it. Oh man. And take regular breaks, because I just took the test and then I did this video. And it's long, because the test is 2 hours. This video is already over 30 minutes. I don't even know if anybody wants to watch this much. In Cloud Shell, type this. Okay, let's see if that works. All right. GS util ACL CH -U. So, where is one of the following forms? You would have email and permission. That's what that is. That's the email and the permission. So it's giving this person permission to that file. Cool. If I go back up, if I change this, let's just remove that. Okay, saying the same thing. Oh, they have a help. GSUtil help ACL. Add or modify a user's entity's role. Cool. I wish I had access to this during the test. That would be a lot more helpful. Alright, ACL change, and that is the user. You need to allow. Okay, so this is legacy bucket writer. Jeez, I'm gonna try to search and I'm going to do this. So you're probably not going to see it down here. And then identity and access management. I'm going to copy this one word and see if I can find that in here. Are you sure? Are you sure? It's it right there, right? I should just put in the word legacy. Legacy bucket writer. Oh, there it is. There it is, there it is. Storage legacy bucket writer. The bucket writer. Why are we doing legacy? I was hearing legacy, I always think of like a negative feeling to it. It just sounds so old, it should be changed. Changing a bucket specific ACL, updating the corresponding legacy bucket AEM for that bucket. Source writer. The object admin and project editor roles are too powerful. We're writing objects. Jeez. Is that really gonna be on the test? Oh god. Team needs to be given granular access to a GCP service that's predefined. What? Because the need to protect very sensitive data in the account. Okay, the team is also avoiding the usage of custom roles and prefers... Oh, there it is you. For requirements that involve GCP managed roles while avoiding the use of... Oh, okay, so that's the custom roles. Alright, missed that part. You have a compute engine instance. None of these are correct. Oh my gosh. Requiring the meta-flavored metadata flavor Google header protects against a different type of attack than the one described in this question, so it will not help in this case. What happens if an attacker compromises this instance using the default service account and access slopes, allowing full access to storage, compute, and billing? The access token will be available to the attacker's program, and it will work the same way from outside of GCP as it does from within it. Okay, it's in the Mac, I get that. The token will only allow the attacker, as any user, to perform whatever is allowed by both the service account and the access slopes. Both the service account and the access scopes are missing some capabilities from the other. The actual access possible by using the token will be less than either of them independently. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, I'm just piling it up. I want to save this one, I like this one. So what does it protect against? Security considerations. Maybe asking her a question. header. Okay, it's just unrelated to this. Alright, can you generate access keys for service accounts? Yes. You can generate a small number of keys. I thought it was as many as possible. It's best when you let Google manage all service account keys, but it is possible to generate some, such as from AWS or your local machine. You don't need to remember how many keys to generate. 10, but only the reason you can create more than one is that you can put a new one in place before disablling an old one. Key rotation. It's limited. I'll remember that 10 now. None of these are correct. Service accounts are meant to be used by programs, and they are one, but not the only one, way to manage access to resources. So it shouldn't always be. It's just there's many options. Understanding service accounts. Okay, I'm going to save it. I'll read it again. I'll take a break and then I'll read it. Add them to a Google group. That's new people. Set IAM policy. Got it. And billing accounts in this order. That's it. My mind is worn out. I'm going to take a break. I hope you guys like this video. Hope you actually made it through to 40 minutes. And even better, study on your own. Good luck. Like and subscribe.